Warning. This program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions. This is Unshackled Fury.
We're digging deep into the last days of WoW's opening season, as visions of something new is just underfoot. And it might be time to pack your bags as the house movers might just be on their way. So welcome back for episode 159 of your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions, Unshackled Fury. I'm your host, Berserker, and with me once again is your favorite gaming pack rat known as Mr. Jez Corden. Welcome back again, good sir.
I think that's my favorite intro yet. How you doing, man?
Good. Little under the weather today, as you could probably tell, which is terrible for the American holiday known as Super Bowl, as we are recording this a mere 90 minutes from kickoff of the biggest game not involving football. The other football. Your football.
Soccer.
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 Love it. Yeah, doing all right otherwise. And, I strive to make sure that every intro for you is appropriate for your level of importance here and all that you represent. So.
It's grandly appreciated.
Well, it's good to have you back. We took a mighty winter break, and I already regaled everyone with my wintertime stories and all the bullshit that I've been up to. But generally, for the folks at home, how have you been since last we were here in early December? Any wild and crazy adventures you want to share, or is it just nose to the grindstone 24/7 for Jez?
Oh god, yeah, it's been purely grindstone. I mean, it's Q4 was our busiest by a mile because of Amazon Black Friday deal coverage. Make a lot of the money that powers the site for the rest of the year during peak trading is what they call it. So yeah, it was extremely busy in November into December, and also there was the Game Awards, so that was really busy as well.
Oh yeah,
and then when it came to like Christmas, I just straight up hibernated. I'm still sort of recovering from that. Like,
yeah.
Oh god, back to work, and we're now halfway into February almost. And I'm still recovering from peak trading. I feel like, which is why it feels like only yesterday that we were last doing the show. Like it feels time is just an abstract concept to me now. Hey ho,
it's true. Yeah, I think that's true. It's just a black hole now. You wake up and one day it's Tuesday, and then one day it's Sunday, and then it's been 2 months since you've done a show, and you're like, weren't we just here last week?
Yes.
I swear to God, we were just talking about this. One of the things I mentioned to folks last time was that this will be the 10th year of this podcast. So sometime between now and October, we're gonna have to figure something out. We're gonna have to get like a good guest or a good prize or something for the folks. We'll have to work on that this year. Something I've been thinking about. But in the meantime, there was something I wanted to bring to your attention. I was holding this. I was waiting on this because, as I've admitted on this show many times, I have a rampaging ego that's out of control, and it's probably not good for somebody like myself to be doing a podcast in any kind of space where there's other people. But I do it, and we're here. But I've always wondered, like, when when you go out there on the internet and you don't know the World of Warcraft podcast, like how do you find us? And so, you just type in like World of Warcraft podcast or whatever it is. And it took a while for this show to finally like kind of pop up on some searches. It took a few years. And then, we kind of started to get out there a little bit, but there were things that I would see. People would make lists. There would be web pages or other places, Reddit posts or whatever. There would be lists. People say, here are all the podcasts you should listen to, blah, blah, blah. And, we weren't there. And then on a couple, we were kind of there. But there was always one. And I don't know if anybody's ever even heard of this or not. But there was always one. And it was the 25 best World of Warcraft podcasts. And we were never on this thing. We were never on this thing for years and years and years. And then a month and a half ago, somebody who runs the website reached out to me and said, hey, our board of directors or whoever we are have put you on this list. Is that cool? And I'm like, of course that's cool. And I said, well, if that's cool with you, do you mind mentioning it? And I said, absolutely no problem. So here we are on FeedSpot. I don't know what FeedSpot is. Sorry, outside of anything other than what I've seen over the years of searching and coming up with this exact website going, why isn't our show on this website? We are now number 5. We are now number 5 on this website.
Number 5?
I will fucking take that. I will fucking take I'll take that. We will never beat Girls Gone Wild. Let me tell you, your neighbors to the north up there, those two women, we will never beat them. But we could take number 2. We could move up a couple spaces. I think we could do it. For Azeroth, that'll be tough. Pick and Whistle Tales, I think we could take them. And another pod, Do Not Relent. I think we could take them too, especially since I'm not sure I know anybody over there. We should just fight them, Jez.
Man. Yeah,
we should just fight them, Jez. Yeah. We should invite them down to the Brawlers Tavern, and we should just fight the other shows. That's how we're gonna get this done. But but anyway, I wanted to say thank you to the FeedSpot folks for finally putting us up there. I don't know how they made that decision, but I'm glad they did, because now some small piece of my ego has been satisfied. It's screaming what you're screaming, Jez, about we should be number 1. But considering that we're higher on the list than the actual number 1 World of Warcraft podcast, The Starting Zone, I gotta take it. I gotta take it. So my apologies to the boys over there. In the meantime, Jez, I'm gonna try to jazz up our metal album of the week this week. I've been thinking about this one. I was like, I feel bad because I'm always coming up with these ones, and I'm like, yes, this is one that I love, and then it's just not jazzy enough. So I thought to myself, okay, dig deep into the archives. What do I know? What do I love? What do I like? What do I got? Well, here's what I've got for you today. And let's see, Jez, if this passes muster. And there's like a part B to this, maybe, if it doesn't meet the Jez criteria. So today, this week, from 2005, I have The Fury of Our Maker's Hand by Devil Driver.
Oh.
Do you know Devil Driver?
I've heard of them. I've never listened to them.
Okay. The lead singer of this band, his name is Des Fafara. You might know him from Coal Chamber as well.
Ah, yes. I knew that name. See, I know Coal Chamber.
It is.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay.
I loved Coal Chamber when I was a kid.
Perfect. All right. Well, Devil Driver is like his longest standing band. Like Coal Chamber was a thing that also was happening sidelong to Devil Driver.
That's why I know them, I think, because I discovered them through Coal Chamber. But I think must have been back before it was easy to get access to music, because I don't think I ever actually listened to them. But
2005. That's
pre-Spotify.
That's pre a lot of stuff. Yeah, that's pretty early. That's like, I don't know, when did YouTube come in? 05?
Something like that. Yeah, maybe.
So pretty early, but
Spotify was 2010,
yes.
I think. Something like that.
Oh, so way before then. Yeah, way before then. Yeah, I got introduced to Devil Driver and this song because of if you listen to Sirius XM, there's the metal station Liquid Metal with Jose Mangan and those guys. And they used to play a song off of this that I absolutely love to this day. It is still one of my favorite metal songs. And if you don't feel like just tearing up everything in your house and running through a brick wall after listening to the song, I don't know what you're doing. But the song is Before the Hangman's Noose. And put this shit on. Like, if you're feeling a certain way about a day and like you got to get up and do a thing, this is the fucking song, man. This is the jam. The whole album, it's just hard gunning, solid ass metal all the way through. 12 songs, less than an hour. You know, you just ripping and running all the way through. But Devil Driver's been around a long time. They got a long discography. Pretty solid band out of are they out of Texas? Maybe just this album was no, maybe they're out of California. Shit, they might be my neighbors. I don't even know. But they're a solid ass band. Coal Chamber also, right? Same singer. Phenomenal metal band. But for you, Jez, I wanted to jazz it up today. So we're giving you The Fury of Our Maker's Hand by Devil Driver.
Excellent.
I hope you check that out.
I will.
All right. We have one big piece of news that we're going to talk about today, but to kind of jump the line a little bit, I have something related to it for our Rage segment this week. So let's jump into it.
Let's rage.
Now, Jess, we have talked about before about this whole cockamamie player housing issue.
Cockamamie.
And how rabid people are for this player housing in World of Warcraft, among other places, in gaming in general, but in World of Warcraft specifically. And this past week, we were granted a pretty deep first look, like real look, into what we're going to be getting in this. And I do want to talk about all of the good stuff that was mentioned here, because there was a lot of good stuff. But there was one aspect of it that I cannot believe for the life of me that they're going to do this. They're going to do this to me once again, Jez. We had asked ourselves, we'd asked each other, the community has asked itself, where are we going to live? Where is this player house going to be? Is it going to be on a plot of land somewhere? Is it going to be like a condo unit in an existing building somewhere? Is it where in the hell is this thing going to be? And we kind of got an answer to that because in this blog post, it talks about how there are going to be neighborhoods. It looks like one specific to kind of Elwyn Forest and one to your Orgrimmar ish area.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I play this game, Jez, because, and I know this sounds ridiculous, I want to get away. I want to get away from people. I want to get away from all kinds of people. But some of the people I want to get away from are my neighbors. And now you're going to stick me with more of them. I want a player house that's on a plot of land in the middle of nowhere. I don't want to be next to John Q. So-and-so right next door who's throwing his garbage out the front door and whose situation I got to see in the backyard because they don't cut their grass and their kids are screaming and they're running around and banging on the pots and pans and all the walls all night long. They got shit all over the place because that is what it looks like here where, Jez, we are going to have public neighborhoods as part of our player housing development. And for the life of me, I know that this is what you call a multiplayer game, if you will, but the MMO and MMORPG. But God damn it, don't make me have to live, with a bunch of hooligans that I don't know over there in Stormwind. They could be Defias for all I know. And then you can let your warband in. So there's probably going to be some orc or some troll or somebody else's neighbors are going to come in and they're going to let in all these riffraff from the Horde. And Jez, The whole thing is sunk before it even got started. How could they do this to me? How could they do this to me? This is terrible. This is a terrible development.
My condolences. I am honestly intrigued that they did it this way, the neighborhood system. I really thought it was going to end up being like, do you remember the farm in Mr. Pandaria? Where it was just just everyone shares the same house, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking like, I imagined it like there'd be a player house you can have in, you know, Tirisfal Glades, in Orgrimmar, and then everyone would sort of congregate into that house. And like, and when you approached it, you'd phase into your instance of it.
Yeah.
That's what I imagined it, because I was, off the top of my head, I was thinking that would be the easiest way of doing it. That's like, you know, I don't expect Blizzard to go all out and build like neighborhoods and shit, but to their credit, I mean, having like sharded neighborhoods, that is a significant technological investment, and also heaps more complicated than what I envisioned for it. So even though it might not, it sort of triggers your antisocial proclivities, shall we say, I'm impressed that they bothered to do it, frankly speaking. Because it could have been way simpler. Could have been way simpler.
They have no idea what they've gotten themselves into. Because let me extrapolate this out further for you, sir. 50 plots in a neighborhood. 50 plots. 50 plots. Anyone that has ever been involved in any kind of real estate knows it is all about location. And that tells me that there are going to be some plots that have better views than others. There are going to be some that are at the end of a cul-de-sac. There are going to be some that are at the beginning of a street. There are going to be some that have better garbage days. There are going to be some that have better sunsets. There are going to be some that have better sunrises. Some are going to have front doors that face the sun. Some are going to have backyards that face the sun. It all changes depending on where you are in that neighborhood. They have no idea what they've unleashed, and they have to have a neighbor. Unbelievable, Jez. They should just throw this in the garbage where it belongs before it even takes flight.
Oh, man.
Just you wait. There's going to be bidding wars on these plots. Bidding wars. And then guilds are going to fall. This is private neighborhoods. There's public and there's private. So you can create one with your guild. Guilds are going to fall because somebody's GM is going to want the choice spot by the waterfall. I'm telling you right now. It's the worst decision that they could have possibly made.
Well, I think
be that as it may,
at the end of the day, you won't have to have a playhouse. It seems like completely as an optional thing for role play and just something else to grind out, you know. So I think plenty of people will just be like, nah, this ain't for me. Like, they've taken it basically from Final Fantasy XIV, the whole concept of neighborhoods and stuff. And I think Final Fantasy XIV took it from like Star Wars Galaxies or something like that back in the day. But you won't have to engage with it. You won't be forced to have a house. You can still be homeless if you prefer.
I will.
Yeah, okay. But think of it, man. You can have like all your warrior. What would a warrior put in their house? I guess weapons and shit, right? I don't know.
Well,
what do warriors do? Just
we'll talk
chunks
about that.
Of meat and chains lying around.
We'll talk about that as we dive through the rest of the blog post that they had here. But before we got to that, I wanted my private lament out there about having to have neighbors, because I'm just, at the end of the day, some asshole who wants to be left alone at the end of the street. But so be it. If we have to have neighborhoods, then I guess I'll have to find some friends and, I don't know, make a commune or something. But there you go. If you like neighbors, they're coming for you. And if you don't, well, I guess we can join up and live in it. Separate ends of the street and keep a neighborhood all to ourselves. All right. With all of that said, we do have some news, and this is part of it. So why don't we go ahead and jump into that? So yes, there was a nice, big, juicy blog post that was released about player housing, and it came after a longer post by Holly Longdale. who we haven't heard from Holly too much yet, quite yet, just yet this year. But it was good to hear, I think, from Holly, kind of set the stage for the year. Once again, committing to 2024 was a big year, and it gave us a lot of opportunities to listen and learn and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And we'll see how that goes. Before dropping some other tidbits, like, yes, we've got some other stuff coming up about player housing, and there's some classic stuff going on. Jez, there was one item in here. Maybe it was just for you. It's possible that Holly Longdale was speaking directly to you.
Yeah, maybe.
In this, where I want to try to pull this up here. I'm gonna read this because I don't want to paraphrase. I want to read this to you, where she talks about where the section that says where WoW is and where it's going. And in the second paragraph, after saying they've, you know, spent some time reflecting on where the game is, it says, first, we want to make World of Warcraft more approachable for anyone who wants to join the adventures we have available to them. In introducing the new player experience with Exile's Reach, we wanted to create an easy way for new players to begin their first journeys into Azeroth or bring back returning players in a way that would help get them up to speed. We know the experience can be better and are working toward new improvements to the feature to streamline the experience in the near term and expand upon what it can be in the future. We know that being truly welcoming requires a lot of work around our new and returning player experiences in modern WoW. We are committed to that work, and we will be making some improvements in Midnight and The Last Titan. I'll be honest, this will be a long-term, ongoing journey as the game evolves and changes with each expansion. There is no quick fix, but we are here for it. That's got to be music to your ears.
Well, I mean, it should be music to my ears, but I'm a little bit skeptical, right?
Uh-oh.
Because the thing that WoW doesn't need, I don't think it needs streamlining at all. I think streamlining isn't the issue. I think they've streamlined enough. Maybe even over-streamlined, right?
Oh.
Blizzard will have telemetry data, which contradicts what I'm saying, no doubt. But I think, like, the thing about telemetry data is it doesn't tell you what... Sometimes players don't know what they want. And I genuinely feel like telemetry data could sometimes misinform you to the tune of, you know, almost killing games. And I think there are games out there that have basically been killed by telemetry data. Where it's like, oh, well, you know, players didn't engage with this, therefore we should remove it, right? But I believe that sometimes the lack of engagement in a feature actually counts as engagement because it can add flavor to something, right? You know, so like when you're eating a delicious meal, you don't necessarily, unless you're a gourmet, you know, you don't necessarily think about every flavor that makes up the whole, right? Yeah. So when they talk things, they talk about streamlining. What I envision in my head is making it even easier. But my argument for the new player experience is that it's too easy. It's too easy to the point of being boring. I think like new cohorts of gamers coming in, they want to feel excited and immersed. That's the issue with the new player experience in WoW. The fact that it's not exciting and it's not immersive. You know, and Exile's Reach is the epitome of not immersive and not exciting. Doesn't really give you any story context for what's going on in modern WoW. It's brain dead easy. It's so easy that, like, you know, you don't even need to engage your brain in order to play it, right? For the vast majority of, you know, modern players, like, I'm talking like youngsters who grow up playing Battle Royale kind of games, which are, you know, tough, you know, to win a Battle Royale. You know, like a Fortnite, unless you've ended up in a game full of bots, it's tough to win, you know, Victory Royale against 50 other players, right? And kids grow up on those experiences. Like Minecraft too is like, if it's stuck in a mine and you've run out of supplies or whatever, and a creeper comes up behind you, you can get one-shotted, lose all your stuff, falls in the lava, teaches kids valuable lesson about, you know, caution, right? Whereas the modern World of Warcraft experience doesn't deliver anything like that. You know, it's so easy unless you go looking for that challenge, like with Mythic and above, right? And And I think that's where WoW sort of, historically at least, WoW's telemetry has cost them the flavor that makes the game exciting for anyone who isn't wearing nostalgia goggles, I think. So when I hear them talk about streamlining, I start thinking about other big publishers that use telemetry data to inform their design decisions, often to their detriment. So, I don't know. I might write something about this in the near term, because otherwise I could talk about this all day, about what I think they should do. And I actually put this to Holly Longdale herself when I was in London. For the WoW event. I actually said to her directly, I said, are you guys gradually rebuilding racial starting zones? Because in my mind, Balameth and the surrounding area, that was perfect to be a new Night Elf starting zone. And the starting zones for each player race gets you immersed in your player fantasy, your class and your racial fantasy. I want to be an elf, you know. I don't want to be a random soldier of the Horde in this easy mode Exile Reach place. I want to be an elf, or I want to be an orc or an undead. Like Tirisfal Glades, when I was, you know, in my late teens, playing as an undead, it was awesome as hell. And there's just nothing like that in the modern new player experience. So I even look at like the next patch coming up, and I'll finish my point quickly, otherwise we will be here all day.
You're good.
But I look at the new patch that's coming up, Undermine. They got whole goblin themed. They've basically rebuilt Kezan, complete down to the roads and the driving and all that kind of stuff. It's Balameth for goblins. Turn Undermine into new player experience for goblins, you know, stuff like that. And then you've got other cities which are a bit more modern, like the Nightborn starting area. You know, you already got that ready to go. You just need like maybe new quest chains, bring it up to, you know, current law standards and all that kind of stuff. And if you are doing new Night Elf zones in Blood Elf zones for Nightfall, you know, Quel'Tha Last is going to be where we're hanging out. Then there you go. You've got your Blood Elf starting zones right raring to go, you know. You do those starting zones, and then you get shipped off to the next expansion. You know, I think that's the way it should be. But will they do something like that, or will it just be another crappy Exile's Reach, maybe with some modern lore or something like that? But you know, like I said earlier, they over-delivered on my expectations with player housing. So maybe I'm just being cynical. You know. Maybe I should give them more benefit of the doubt.
We've been burned a lot, to be fair. And I think it's cautious optimism. Maybe that's the right sort of balance here. In that I look at, you know, you mentioned these cities, right? And I look at, what is it? Suramar?
Suramar, yeah.
Crazy. Like, it's a living, breathing, vibrant thing. Like, I think of, because we got to get back to doing this. I think of Night City in Cyberpunk and just kind of how big and alive that place seems when I'm in game. And Suramar always felt the same way, that there were 100 other little stories going on that I just didn't know about and wasn't necessarily paying attention to, but it had that capability. And so, yeah, there's all these areas you feel like, man, ripe for some sort of rejuvenation of some kind. But being that you are the the man about town, you should absolutely put something out about there that Holly will read, because I think you have quite a bit of influence. And, if anybody wants to throw something our way because of that, for our big 10th anniversary. But one of the other things that Holly mentioned here was more about social. It was like they call it a social initiative within their development team, where now they're going to have a social team alongside like their other development teams. And as an example, they're looking at improvements on how to connect in-game friends, group finder, better integration to common external social platforms that we know the community uses regularly. Does that mean Discord and WoW to you?
I think that could mean that, you know. I know from my sources that Microsoft has recently done a big strategy overview of Blizzard properties. So they have been looking at WoW, and they have been looking at Diablo, and they have been looking at Overwatch a lot. Overwatch is like the big the big one right now. How can we fix Overwatch is a big thing within Microsoft. But WoW is a pillar of that as well. Like, I think with Overwatch, it's a bit more of a crisis thing. But with WoW, it's like, how can we take WoW to the next level? And one of the things Microsoft wants to do is, modernize those kind of pillars, like the social aspects, but also like double down on showcasing characters, double down on transmedia opportunities like Netflix and stuff. Games have to truly hit that sort of next level. Games have to be more than just games these days. Like you see this a lot with Fortnite, where Fortnite gets a lot of celebrities and cross-property pollination in their games, and I don't think we're going to see rappers appear in World of Warcraft anytime soon. But maybe it does mean Discord integration. Maybe it does mean a Netflix show and that kind of thing.
Oh man, we've talked about that forever in the community, right? And I know with Edge Runners for Cyberpunk and Arcane for League of Legends, right? Insanely well received properties that only heighten the visibility of the related franchises, and it's not easy to do. They're not all great, but if you hit the right nail at the right time, boy, it can shoot some shit to the moon.
It's got to be the right time though. Maybe preferably after they've fixed the new player experience, because if you do hit the iron and it's like, oh wow, this Netflix show is amazing, I'm gonna check out the game, and then you went up an Exile's fucking Reach, it's kind of a waste, right? So
you make a good point.
Timing is everything with this shit.
Well, and maybe that ties in. You think about if you had some sort of show, whatever that is, and that draws people's attention in, and it's like, okay, whatever the environment is, or whatever the storyline is, or whatever the most familiar elements of it are, right? You get new players to be dropped into that. That's how you hook them, right? And it's like, oh, what else is out there? Oh, this is like the thing I knew, and then there's all this other shit. Holy crap! It's not just Adam Smasher. I mean, it's not just one of these players. It's a bunch of other stuff. So overall, Holly, right? Very optimistic. Again, talking about not just the past 20 years, but also looking forward to the next 20 years. They really, whatever the plans are, they really do feel strongly about saying to us, communicating to us that they're in it for the long haul, that there are long-term plans. These aren't going to be just quick fixes like she talks about with the starting experience, right? That, we're talking about this entire World Soul arc and probably beyond. But to get back to what we were mentioning earlier, the player housing. And in an interview we talked about last year, where Holly had mentioned how this player housing was something they want to think about, not just for like 6 months or a year, but for like years, decades into the future. Like they're really big on this, whatever this part of the game is going to be. And so finally, just this past week, we got a real deeper dive, something more concrete about what they're doing, why they're doing it, and sort of how this is unfolding, along with the 50 plot neighborhoods. But in it, with the player housing, talking about 3 pillars is what we started off with, and talking about their design choices, why they're doing what they're doing, and those 3 pillars. And she made a point to mention, or they made a point to mention, that this isn't the only thing that they're basing ideas or decisions off of, but these are 3 of the main pillars that they're using. One being boundless self-expression, the second being deeply social, and then the third being long-lasting journey, that this isn't something that you can expect to finish. But there was a statement in here, thinking about, well, how are they going to structure this? What are they going to do? Under the boundless self-expression, there's a line here that says the tool set should be easy enough for someone with no 3D experience to be comfortable with and use successfully, but it should also be powerful enough that players can surprise us with their creations or drill down to get the tiniest details just right. This sounds to me like something that is wildly comprehensive, like way beyond anything else we've ever had. If we're going to have, by their count, like hundreds of items and be able to nitty gritty detail where this is going to go. That to me sounds like a robust system in a way that we've never seen in World of Warcraft on any level, unless I'm completely forgetting something.
Have you ever played Animal Crossing?
No.
Are you aware of Animal Crossing?
Yes.
Well,
I know the name.
That's kind of like how I feel about that, because Animal Crossing has like, you can literally create textures in that game and sort of,
Oh.
you know, truly express yourself. Like, you know, you create your own wallpapers and do signage and things like that. I suppose, you know, what's it called? Minecraft's probably another good example with regards to, because when you say boundless expression, that's a really bold claim. I feel like when there are these games out there like Animal Crossing or like Minecraft, which truly do let you have boundless expression. Like recently, I watched a video about Minecraft where some MIT students had created a 32-bit processor using Minecraft circuitry.
Oh my god.
Which is just nuts, right? So while I doubt we'll be making processors in player housing anytime soon, like, it does sound as though something akin to Animal Crossing could be probably a little bit more along the lines of what to expect here. Like in Animal Crossing, you can visit someone's island, and you're never going to see two that are the same unless it's two new players starting out with the default, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy the kind of shit you can do in there. So that does sound pretty exciting.
I think not having a basis for comparison, all of this sounds just like holy shit to me. Because as you mentioned earlier, we've had the farm, and the farm had its little, cute nature to it. We had our garrison, which had some limited capacity in terms of what it could have, or some of the accoutrement, if you will, that it could have within. But I mean, this is accoutrement. It's like
I know what it means. I was just impressed with the vocabulary and also the pronunciation. Like, I would have said accoutrements, but like you put like a French twang into it. I was like, damn.
Every once in a while, my professional life creeps in, and the fact that I have a vocabulary sometimes sneaks in. But yes, not having any sort of other basis for comparison, this all sounds insane to me. Part of what I loved about this write-up too, just quickly, because you'd mentioned it and I have awareness of this now, is that under the section in the blog post, it says a home for everyone. It says, as part of our focus on wide adoption, we wanted to ensure that housing is available to everyone. If you want a house, you can have a house. No exorbitant requirements or high purchase costs, no lotteries, and no onerous upkeep. So that's a Final Fantasy dig, right?
That was a shot at Final Fantasy, that was. And I feel a bit bad for Square Enix here, because they kind of pioneered this system in the modern era, at least, but they built it in such a unscalable way. They basically, it requires dedicated servers, it requires a server upkeep, and it's not a dynamic system, whereas WoW has this really great sort of server array sharding technology, which can sort of dynamically spin up servers, virtual servers, as and when is required. And now they're also tied to Microsoft, so Microsoft has pretty much infinite server capacity at this point. It's like second biggest cloud provider on earth, second behind Amazon only. And Amazon, hosts services like Netflix and stuff like that. So, but when you do have the ability to sort of deliver a system that is scalable from the outset, which is clearly what Blizzard's doing here, they've kind of got the advantage of looking at Final Fantasy and being like, oh, these are the mistakes they made. We need to make sure that our system's scalable, so we don't have things like these lotteries. Because, whoa, my chair just decided to break. That's great.
Uh-oh.
That's great. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, in Final Fantasy, for those that don't know, there's like a fixed amount of neighborhoods each server shard has, and there's a fixed amount of plots of land that each player can have. So like, these plots of land are typically full, you know, and you have to like maintain a subscription and activity within those plots in order to not lose them. And I think off the top of my head, and I can't remember if this is exactly right, so don't quote me on it, but I think you have to like, if you're not there for like a month, you will lose that plot of land, and then it becomes a lottery system. So then players will come in by their hundreds or maybe even their thousands on some servers and be like trying to win the lottery for this plot of land so they can have like a little faction for a little personal house, or, you know, a guild, because the guild houses too and stuff like that. So yeah, it's cool that they built it to be scalable from the outset, but they are also building on the mistakes of Final Fantasy. But this is what competition's cool, because I think Final Fantasy will look at this and be like, well, we need to go back to the drawing board and maybe build something that is more scalable, because if our competitor is going to have the standard bearer for player housing, like we kind of losing our unique selling point there, you know?
Yeah. Well, and yeah, that competition hopefully breeds, you know, a continual evolution of not just where we start, but then where we go, as they're talking about, you know, developing this thing over time. You know, if they need to change course because something turns out to be shit, or something turns out to be wildly popular. I mean, I love World of Warcraft, but in many ways it's not the most original property because it borrows from so many others, and I think we're all kind of okay with it because it's sort of the nature of the beast. So, you know, their ability to be flexible as time goes on and get it's the Monday Night Wars, bro. Everybody knows that WWF was better when WCW was around, at least back then. It's pretty good now. But anyway, mentioned what would a warrior have in their home? Outfitting your home is something that they touch on here, and the question of, will there be items that you can pay for? Yes, there will be, but it seems like the majority of things, the hundreds of items and decorations or whatever, will be available through, you know, various rewards in game, which is cool. I look at this and I think, okay, let's go to the maximum possible extent in my mind of what this could be, with elements both in game and out of game, because I think of where in game I want a place to put any of my cool transmogs or my cool weapons that I've got, something that denotes important kills or achievements that I've reached. You know, furniture, is there certain types of furniture that you can get, you know, all the major stuff, chairs, beds, ottomans, couches, tables, equipment, like an all number of things that you could have in there. But then there's like, what about art? There'll be wall space, I assume. Can I, like what Cyberpunk now just instituted in their game, where you have picture frames where you can put whatever picture you want in there? So if you want a big giant picture of Panam's butt right over your, you know, fireplace, you can do that, right? You know, in World of Warcraft, is it screenshots? Can I bring other shots in? Are there pieces of in-game art that, I don't know, is there like an art gallery I can go to buy pieces for a wall? Because anybody that has owned a home for a period of time knows every once in a while there's a wall that you're looking at and you're like, you know, I really would like to put something there. I want X to put there, but it needs to be the right thing. And so you just kind of go on for years and you think about, okay, well, if I see the right thing to put on that wall, will there be opportunities like that here, where now it's like, oh, okay, for a limited time we have this, or we're making this, or can you have player created art? Like, can I go to one of the artists that we know in the community and say, hey, we've got this wall art, you know, bag textures, like you mentioned, you know, textile textures. There could be any number of things that you import in the game. Will they care if you have, I don't know, a picture of somebody's booty, like I mentioned earlier? Like, are they gonna police that kind of thing? Like, what is the length and depth to which we'll be able to go and allowed to go, you know, over this? And so again, I think about, you know, as a warrior, having my armor, having my weapons, yeah, having like a, I don't know, can I get like oh, I'm gonna get killed for this, but there is a very famous barbecue joint. I want to say it's Lockhart's, but I don't think that's it. There's a very famous barbecue joint that has this open pit where they hang all the meat over the pit and they smoke it, and it's just this giant open pit. I would love to have some shit like that in my player house, and I could just, you know, go and grab something, get a buff real quick from, you know, some shank or something.
So booties and barbecue is on the menu for your player housing, is what I'm hearing.
I think it should be number one on everyone's list. But you know, that's sort of the male warrior, or the straight male warrior side of this thing. I don't know. You can have any kind of booty up there. It's just the warrior side of it anyway. What would Jez the Goblin be putting in a house?
I suppose, you know, being an alchemist, a goblin, and a warlock, mine would probably be stereotypical books, various vials of nondescript reagents, potions, slime, weird mechanical things, demon stuff. I don't know. Mine would be metal as hell, man. Doom and sludge metal, though, more so than thrash metal, I think. I suppose if like a warrior is thrash metal, then a warlock's more like sludge metal, I guess, in my head.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. We're like thrash, and then maybe paladins are kind of like power metal, you know?
Yeah, ballads.
They're yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, you could be sludge metal. Why not? They need, you know what they need to give us then is take that jukebox from the garrison and port that over into our house.
Oh yeah,
we have to have tunes, you know, some kind of tunes.
It's the cool thing about this player housing malarkey is that they've already got a lot of the assets in order to deliver stuff like this, because they've got player housing assets when they design houses in the game. You know, like if you know, go to Kezon and look at not Kezon, Undermine, sorry, in the next patch, you know, it's going to feel lived in because, you know, they've had to design all those assets for all the goblins that live there, the NPCs. But a lot of those sort of features, those, you know, basic things like chairs, you know, windows and picture frames, you know, and all kinds of things like that, they already exist in the game as assets. I suppose some of it will be like, some of it will need to be up-resed maybe, because a lot of those assets are a bit old-fashioned and from the old days. But a lot of them are, you know, pretty fresh. So it's gonna be cool. I see how this develops.
We need like our own barbershop in our house. You know, do your hair.
See, now that's one of the things that I don't think they'll do. You know, I think a lot of the facilities like auction houses, barbershop, vendors, repair vendors and shit like that, I think they'll keep them in the city, because if everyone just sort of like has the ability to never leave their player house, you could end up with depopulated cities, and I don't think they want that. I don't think they've never really wanted that, where the cities are empty, and which has been their argument for not giving players easier auction house access and stuff like that in the past, at least. I know there's an auction house mount now, which, by the way, reportedly, analysts think made them about $15 million, that Brutosaurus auction house mount. Something like that, I remember seeing some figures on. But yeah, I don't know if we're going to get facilities like barbershop in the house, but maybe we will. Maybe they just think, fuck it. If it's fun, let's do it. Maybe that's their philosophy now. I doubt it, but we'll see.
Well, and to that point, right, they want to make sure that people are getting out and, you know, out and about, not just stuck in your house. But they have mentioned that there will be things that they are going to sell. What do you think would be so great that people would be willing to pay real world money for? Like, is it they have to have that tapestry. They have to have, like, I don't know, that rug that really ties the room together. You know, is there something that you think would be a $15 million housing item?
Yeah, I mean that's the other side of this, isn't it? It's just like how much of this will be tied to microtransactions, because this is a pretty great platform for microtransactions. And I think if they weren't going to do that, Holly Longdale probably would have said so in the post, where it would have been like, oh yeah, and by the way, none of this is going to be microtransactions. It's all going to be in game. She didn't say that, so I think that pretty much, you know what that means. It's going to be microtransaction to hell, right? So I don't know, man. They probably need to tread carefully, because if there are like cool items that are like really cool but also cost a shitload of money, I think that's going to breed a lot of salt potentially. Blizzard has to make money at the end of the day, and you know, costs have gone up. Developing games in California especially is monstrously expensive. No offense to your state, but
none taken.
California is ridiculous, man. But
we are a country unto ourselves.
Yeah, but so I appreciate they've got to make money, you know, but at the same time, it's like they were really pushing it with that Brutosaurus, man. I mean, they were pushing it until I logged in and saw that everyone fucking bought it. They were like, oh man, I'm sure everyone's going to be really mad about this. And I log in and everyone bought the fucking mount. I didn't, by the way. I'm proud of myself. I didn't buy the mount. But
good job.
Everyone else did. All of you guys did. You guys listen to this. All of you bought it. I know you did.
You people.
You people.
You people. Yeah, it's, you know, we talked about it, and you know better than anyone, as you've mentioned many times here, is, you know, the financial aspects of this can't be ignored, and there's always going to be something. But that's kind of the thing I've been thinking about is, all right, what on earth would I want to spend my money on? Because, you know, again, thinking about this in real world terms, a neighborhood was going to be the one house that's got like the Rolls-Royce drive car in the driveway, and, you know, the nice trim on the house with the good paint and a good front yard and a nice fence, and, you know, the yard's kept up. And then right next to them is going to be somebody that's got like a Fred Flintstone jalopy in the driveway, and the grass is going to be long, and the roof is going to be fucked up. And, you know, you're gonna see these neighborhoods and houses that are like the haves and the have-nots, and you're gonna see people drive by and turn up the nose at the people who spent money in the real world. And oh man, maybe this wasn't such a bad idea. Maybe I do like the neighborhoods now. Well, I think about this. The drama alone might be worth it. I'll have to think about that. But yes, there is a very good housing preview out there. So if you haven't seen it yet, go take a look. Some good tidbits. I don't think it's going to be very long until we start seeing this thing. If 11.1 is reportedly going to be dropped sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks, my guess is, knowing the history of this show and our timing, it's probably going to come out tomorrow on Monday, that it's coming out next week. So it's probably not too far away. You know, that next PTR is going to hit, and then it's only a matter of time, I think, until we start seeing something in real, and then it'll be a big conversation, I think, at that point, once people actually know what we're looking at. But if you haven't seen it yet, go out there and take a look at Holly's 2025 kind of yearly kickoff statement and the blog post about the housing. And before we get into some questions, the Q&A section of the show, which thank you to folks that continue to send in questions to our show for Jez and I to kick around. Jez, as you mentioned, goblindom is your domain here on Unshackled Fury. I certainly know very little about them, and at this point, I'm probably about to learn more over the next 6 months than I ever cared to. But in Undermined, we have been told that there are going to be 4 factions that we will be aligning ourselves with as time goes on, and there'll be mechanisms for us to choose which one we're going to work for and do good deeds or bad deeds for. Probably mostly bad deeds, if I understand this whole thing correctly. But within them, we have some names and some sort of character connections and different things. But I wanted to get your take on this. As a man who actually like knows goblins firsthand, I want to say maybe you could give our readers or our listeners a little more insight into who exactly we're going to be dealing with, if only just briefly. But we've been introduced to the Bilgewater, the Steamweedle, the Blackwater, and the Venture Company as the 4 cartels that we're going to be working with. And right out of the gate, is there any one of those 4 for you that you immediately go, yes, if I'm going to pick one, this is who I'm working for day one. Let's get on that drive system and go.
Yeah, so, Bilgewater is obviously the Horde-aligned cartel of goblins. Like, I suppose, like, if you're a relatively new player, you probably think of goblins as like a horde race, but they're not really, Yeah. Goblins are split up into little companies called cartels, and they, I suppose they're analogous to clans in a way, but they are sort of company-oriented. They have a corporate structure, generally speaking, and stuff like that. It's kind of like goblins are a bit steampunky, in the Warcraft universe. So, generally speaking, I can't remember Blackwater off the top of my head, but Steamweedle Cartel is probably the closest to being the nice one. So Steamweedle, the neutral goblin faction, which runs the neutral auction house, they run Tanneris and Booty Bay and stuff like that, off the top of my head. And then you've got like Venture Co., which is arguably the most evil one. Generally speaking, Venture Co. have been enemies that we kill in the game. Venture Co. strip mine, like both Horde and Alliance, Venture Co. strip mining, Stranglethorn Vale, classic quests and stuff like that. Kill hundreds of them in Stranglethorn Vale back in the day. And also, I believe, if I'm not misremembering, actually I think I am misremembering, but there were goblins that helped Nefarian, and I was going to say they're Venture Company goblins, but I'm not sure they were now off the top of my head. But anyway, I think maybe they were. Basically, Venture Co. are evil. So it's interesting that they're letting us align with Venture Co., I think. And I think that's part of the player expression thing, right? If you are someone who has absolutely, goblins generally speaking don't care that much for the environment. But if you want someone who doesn't care for the environment, doesn't even pretend to care for the environment, Venture Co. is your bag. Pure, core profits above everything. Steamweedle is probably the ones that probably the most neutral, trying to please everyone kind of faction. Bilgewater increasingly feels influenced by the orcs. I feel like they kind of have an honor about them now under Gazlowe. So like I do feel like the Bilgewater are probably maybe they are the nicest faction now, although Alliance players might not be super happy about aligning with them. But the Alliance quests probably paint them in a much different light than the Horde quest, I would imagine.
A little bit.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting that they're doing it this way. Obviously, my goblin is technically a Bilgewater goblin, if we're talking lore-wise. But goblins, I suppose, are also very mercenary, and they'll go where the best deals are. So
well, that certainly matches with what I think I've kind of come to understand as I've been looking into this. Is Bilgewater being, as you mentioned, kind of maybe the nicest. I don't know if that's not really the right word, but sort of I don't know, not even more honest.
Gazlowe is the nice goblin hero character now. Like Bilgewater used to be run by Gallywix, who we're going to be killing in this patch. He's the big bad goblin who discovered Azerite and told Sylvanas to go after it. So he's the big meanie, and we're gonna be finally putting him out of his misery, down the line. So yeah, it should be a fun patch. It should be fun.
So beyond these 4, so we have Bilgewater, like you mentioned, Steamweedle, which is kind of like, it sounds like your alchemists, Blackwater, which is like your pirates, and Venture Company, which are, yes, the ones that just basically are mowing down the rainforest. There is reportedly, even in their own materials here, a fifth secret cartel. Who could that possibly be? Because I have no idea. I don't know enough about the Goblin corporate structure to know. But who could a fifth secret cartel be? You have any idea?
I have no idea off the top of my head. I suppose I could have a quick look over here. What kind of cartels? There is an unknown cartel led by a so-called Trade Prince Donay, who is chilling in Gallywix's pleasure palace in Azara, and he's been there for some years. I wonder if they're bringing him back, and as a sort of a character who's just sort of been chilling there since Cataclysm. And all we know about him is that he runs a mysterious cartel that nobody knows the name of, involved in some random quest at some point. So, yeah, maybe it's his cartel. But otherwise, it could also be not a goblin cartel, because there's another species or another race that are broken up into cartels. The brokers.
True.
Yeah, and there are ethereals. There were ethereals involved in the previous raid with Queen Ansaric, the consortium or whatever they are. They were there, so that's strange. Blackwater, according to this, previously Blackwater were part of Steamwhirtle cartel, but it sounds like See, Blackwater Raiders were a subsidiary of Steamwhirtle cartel running Booty Bay, but it seems like they have become their own cartel now. See, that's why
they took over operations.
Yeah, they've separated out into their own faction, which I suppose is interesting. They're led by Baron Revelgaz, who runs Booty Bay. So I guess they're their own faction now. So maybe they've got some rivalry there. I don't know.
Well,
that
fifth secret faction.
Sorry.
I was going to say, if that is, to your point, if that is the ethereals, that would line up potentially with marrying this patch coming up and where people think we might be going after.
Yeah, true that.
So,
and also, everything I said about Trade Prince Donay was potentially incorrect, since he's dead, and he's now in Revendreth.
Well, shit.
But you know,
that only gives your ethereal guess even more juice. We'll see.
True that.
So
he did speak to the broker Talora while in Revendreth. So brokers aren't exactly. Brokers seem to be linked to ethereals, but not quite. I don't know. It's all weird, that shit. But
all of Shadowlands just got,
it's weird.
It's all PTSD now. So if you haven't seen the nice little write up here, carve out a rewarding career in Undermine Cartels. It's out there, and we're inching closer to 11.1. It should be announced, I assume, before our next episode is out. So if it is out before we're back here again, we'll have a lot to talk about next time. But we're getting closer, and you can feel we are right around the corner. And to finish up this week, we're gonna once again dive into our Unshackled Fury Q&A. I want to thank once again folks for showing some interest there, getting a lot of questions through Discord. And so if you haven't jumped in there, please do so. And you can always send your questions a billion other ways. But Jez, I've got 3 new questions and 1 returning question, because you weren't here last time and I desperately want to hear your answer to it. So first up, right out of the gate, this is from Brother Navox. With player housing coming to Azeroth, can we get an outhouse attached to the home we can use at any time We only get to use the bathroom once in our entire life in the game.
I have no
I
idea.
say we have to.
Yeah,
I say we have to.
I think it fits with Blizzard's humor, I suppose. But it would be weird if you've got a house with no bathroom, right? So if we are going for maximum immersion, I suppose, I could see a goblin toilet which has some kind of shredder attached to it or something like that, That a
One of those
violent,
fancy Japanese toilets.
yeah, but violent. It's got to be violent. It's a goblin, right?
Yeah, having a shredder anywhere near like a saw blade, just in case you got like a really tough one you're trying to squeeze out. It's like, get a little help. Connected with this question from Shantyman, we have piggybacking off the last question. Should the Midnight Poop Quest be tied to player housing somehow?
Yes.
And yes, you say yes?
Yes, definitely. Man, I always, my mind always goes back to that quest in the Burning Crusade, where I don't know if you played through that expansion, but
With the dog?
yeah, one of the first quests is like shoveling fell hunter poop. I was like, what is this? There's a lot of poo quests in that expansion, man. Someone at Blizzard has issues, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, back then, a lot of them did, I suppose.
This is definitely the fecalphilia portion of the show.
Is that what it's called?
Yes. I agree. I think we do have to have some sort of quest tied, some sort of poop quest tied to player housing, because how else are we going to earn the outhouse? I mean, we probably start with a bucket, like a bucket just somewhere in a corner. And then there's some sort of quest where like, listen, I'm looking for something with a double vanity, maybe, a shower and a bathtub, maybe a fancy goblin toilet, something in there. Like you got to upgrade over time somehow. So you start with a bucket and then you end up with one of those like 360 showers, where it gets you from all sides, and the top it's like a rain shower, whatever that thing is. I think we have to have something tied to that, where you got like the longer you hold it, like the longer you hold the poop, then the bigger the bathroom you get because you've earned it.
Good
the hard
God.
way. I think that's what it is. Then you really need that goblin shredder. Oh man, this is getting offhand. All right, next up, also from Brother Navox, why? Oh, this is a good question. Why did the WoW fetish change from poop to tentacles to feet? What the hell fetish are we in for Midnight?
It's a good question.
I'm gonna say water sports. That's my guess. Water sports.
War sports.
Yeah.
I mean, surely it's going to be more tentacles. I would go back to tentacles.
You think we're going back to tentacles?
I mean, yeah, maybe. I kind of feel like Midnight's going to be heavy on old gods, and we're going to end up back with the tentacles and stuff.
See, I went that route, and that's why I was thinking like Ajara, and instead of feet, flippers or something. And
oh, right, I get it.
Yeah, that's I'm going more that direction maybe. She's like dripping on you somewhere, and people are like, oh, same way they are about the feet now. I could see it. Midnight's gonna be fucked up. I'm so glad to have that thought in my brain now. And you're welcome, fam. Now it's in yours. So there you go. It's gonna be a good time. Last question. This is actually a holdover. Friend of the show, Allie. And this one's for you and you only, Jez, because I answered this last time. What character from Warcraft would you like to see in Cyberpunk? And what character from Cyberpunk would you like to see in Warcraft?
I'd love to see. I don't know. Like, I'll go with the patch the Gazlo from Heroes of the Storm with his like huge mech backpack. I think that'd fit in Cyberpunk pretty well. And then in the reverse, I don't know, Adam Smasher as some kind of hideous evil gnome creation. We don't often have evil gnomes, and we should, that are like not comedic. Like all the villain gnomes in this, like Millhouse Manastorm and King Mechagon, for example, they're all a little bit comedic. I suppose Gallywix is a bit comedic as well, but he's also genuinely evil. You know, he's had an opportunity to have character depth, and to the point where it's great that he's a raid boss, and they've given him like great music. His music's fantastic, and it's like I want to kill this guy. You know, because of the stuff he's done. It feels right, you know. But we've never really had that gnome equivalent. So what if there was like an evil mecha gnome that was like, you know what, I'm sick of being 3 foot tall. I'm gonna make myself bigger. And then he basically becomes Adam Smasher as a gnome. But a giant gnome. It's like a human with extra steps, but a giant gnome, evil Adam Smasher gnome. I'm going with that.
There it is. Well, you will not be surprised to learn that I too chose Adam Smasher. I thought he would make a great raid boss. And then for Warcraft character in Cyberpunk, I'd like to see a Nomad Varian. That was kind of what I settled on. Was Nomad Varian running around with Aldecaldos or something. All right. Well, thank you everyone again for your questions, and yeah, we're gonna keep the Q&A going every episode. So please, if there are burning questions to which you must hear our answers, whether it be about our Poop Quest favorites or Warcraft fetishes, we will cover whatever you give us. So please keep sending those in. All right, I think we've done enough damage for one episode. For those that don't already know, where can the good people find you on the internet, Jez?
I think the easiest way is to direct you to jezcorden.com now. Jez Corden, Corden, Jz, Corden for American friends. That was all my socials. Also a link to this lovely show that you host. And much more. Thank you.
There it is. All right. Thank you. And my thanks to all of you for listening. And remember, you can always follow me and this show on Twitter at Berserker Rage and Unshackled_Fury, on Blue Sky at Berserker and Unshackled Fury, as well as on Twitch at Unshackled Fury and Real Berserker. You can also join our Discord. Please do. It's where we get a lot of questions. Links for which are in the profile of the show on Twitter and on our website, unshackledfury.com. Feel free to contact the show with your questions, comments, or otherwise through any of those resources, or email us at unshackledfuryshow@gmail.com. That's all one word. And you can find this show wherever you get your podcasts. So once again, thank you for listening. Remember to keep your swords wet and your banners high, and we'll see you next time. Farewell.